video we are going to talk about hypothesis tests. First of all, let's see what the hypothesis means. Actually, hypothesis is the claim that we want to test or investigate. So we provide evidence through sampling or doing a survey. First of all, let's see what the null hypothesis is. Always there is a default hypothesis which is called a null hypothesis. As you know, null means 0, so the null hypothesis is denoted by H0. And this is the default hypothesis as the currently accepted value for a parameter. The parameter can be the mean of the population, proportion of the population, or the slope of the regression line for population, or other characteristics of the population. And it is good to know that null hypothesis always contains equal sign. So it can be mu equal to a value, mu less than equal to a value, or mu greater than equal to a value. And sometimes based on the research, we want to challenge the null hypothesis and prove something which is opposite of the null hypothesis. We define that opposite hypothesis as alternative hypothesis, and we denote it by H1. And this is the research hypothesis. This is the research claim. And this involves the claim to be tested. And this is the thing that we would like to be true. As I mentioned, it is the opposite of the null hypothesis. So this one never contains equal sign. So it can be mu not equal to the value. If the null hypothesis is mu equal to a value, the alternative one is mu not equal to that value. If the null hypothesis is mu less than equal to a value, then the alternative one is mu greater than that value. And if the null hypothesis is mu greater than equal to something, then the alternative one is mu less than that value. So, as I mentioned, the alternative hypothesis is the thing, the claim we would like to be true. This is the thing that we want to prove. And in order to prove this one, we try to provide evidence based on the sample to reject null hypothesis. We try to reject H0. So in order to prove H1, we try to reject H0 by the evidence based on the sample. So there are two possible outcomes here. One of them is this, that the sample provides enough evidence against H0 and we reject H0. If I reject H0, it means that H1 is correct. So it means prove H1. And sometimes the sample cannot provide enough evidence to reject H0. And we cannot reject the null hypothesis. So it means that we do not have enough evidence to prove H1 in this case. Assume that I bought a 200-gram chocolate bar, and I believe that the bar is less than 200 grams. Now I want to test it. So the new claim, the thing that I want to show is that the mean is less than 200 grams. And the default assumption is that mu is greater than or equal to 100 grams. It is the opposite of alternative hypothesis. Always when you solve a question, first define the alternative and then the null hypothesis. In order to test it, we have to use the test statistic. What is the test statistic? Actually, this is calculated from the sample data and used to decide. What does it mean? It means that in order to reject that the mean weight is greater than equal to 200, I go to Coles or Woolworth and buy 20 chocolate bars. So I pick a sample of the size 20 and find the average weight of this sample. And based on this average weight, I can make a decision and calculate test statistic. We will go through the test statistic later when we solve more examples in next videos. Now in this question, assume that I see that the mean weight of these 20 chocolate bars is, for example, 199.8 grams. In this situation, although it is less than 200, but it is very close to 200, and I'm not confident to reject it quickly, and the level of confidence is very low, but I may do the sampling, someone else do the sampling, pick a sample of 20 again, and see that the mean weight of that sample is 197 grams. So the level of confidence for rejecting H0 here is larger. Or someone else pick a sample and find, for example, the mean weight of 180 grams. In this one, I'm more confident to reject H0. So you see that when you do the test, there is a thing which is important to us, which is called level of confidence. And we talked about level of confidence when we talked about the confidence interval for the mean, so you're familiar with it. So when you look at this one, you see that 180 is significantly smaller than 200 grams, and I'm more confident to reject H0, but 199.8 is not significantly less than 200 grams. Let's see what it means when I talk about significantly larger or significantly smaller here. First, I have to talk about the level of confidence. If I show the level of confidence by C, for example, I am 95% confident to reject H0, I define the level of significance as the complement of that and denote it with alpha, which is 1 minus C. And when you do a test, always they mention at which level of significance we want to do this test. And as I mentioned before, this alpha is the probability of type 1 error. And If it is not mentioned in the test, by default we work with 5% level of significance. Now you are ready to watch the next video and go through more examples.